Howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it's time to talk Path of Exile. This is a quick video outlining my plans for my farming atlas. So this is not my strategy for how to develop my atlas at the start of the league. This is the atlas as I want to set it up for farming, at least for the first quarter of the league or so. Now, there's plenty of ways of doing this. I'm just going to go through mine and some of the reasons that I've decided to go this way, but by all means experiment with, say, with a totally different strategy like a Burial Chambers optimized atlas, or a shaped Burial Chambers optimized atlas, or a tower optimized, whatever you want. Firstly, for completion, I am intending to complete every map on the atlas with the exception of the tier 16 Guardians. I will need to do at least one tier 16 Guardian while I'm setting myself up, but I'm then going to strip that map from the atlas using a Master Cartographer's seal so that it can't drop in normal gameplay. I'm going to complete all of the unique maps with the possible exception of Perandus Manor. The maths on Perandus Manor, it adds 0.01 tiers on average to each of your maps, which generally in most economies will add about 0.6% to the value of your map drops. If the cost of one portal into a Perandus Manor is 60 Chaos Orbs, then you need to expect to loot 10,000 Chaos worth of map drops in order to break even. If it's 150 Chaos for a portal, you need to expect to loot 25,000 Chaos worth of maps in order to break even. And I think you break even around 1,000 to 2,000 upper red map completions, so tier 14, 15, 16. 1,000 if it's closer to 60 Chaos, and 2,000 if it's closer to 150 Chaos. In other words, Perandus Manor is probably too expensive to be worth running unless there's been changes in the... well, either there's been changes in the loot tables, or it is... or you're someone who is going to be running thousands of tier 16 maps. Now, the benefits to this approach are that you get 4 of your 5 sextants. That's not quite as good as getting 5, but it's most of the way there. This contrasts to some strategies that optimize repeated running of a single tier 10 map or a tier 5 map, where you may only get 3. It gives you easy access to your master dailies. When your various missions spawn on a map, it is very good to not have to buy that map at that point. But the main benefit to this is that every tier 16 map that drops under this atlas will be your Elder map of choice. And I'm going to be using Elder Desert Spring because some legend on Reddit did a whole bunch of testing where they ran 10 copies of every map. That's not a statistically significant sample size, but it's enough for me to be confident in their results. And they found that Desert Spring has an average of 750 maps if you run it as a white. Sorry, 750 mobs on it if you run it as a white map. This contrasts to about 450 on the Guardian maps, to about 360 on Strand, and about 600 on most maps that sort of feel juicy, like Cells or Chateau, or Moon Temple. All maps that feel like they have a lot of monsters on them. And most of those maps having pretty mediocre layouts. It basically outclasses all of those. It does have an ugly boss, and you will have to fight the boss twice, but all of the monsters that are hidden in the corridor between the two boss fights, there's just so many of them there that Desert Spring is the best map on the atlas at the moment. That's in spite of having no divination cards of note, it is still the best map. Now, there's a drawback to this setup. You have 4% lower atlas bonus than full completion, with approximately 2% less loot value from looted maps. And there's also a drawback that you get less consistency of getting the very best maps dropping for you. So, you know, the maps that you can sell in bulk. It is entirely viable to set up only a tower as your only tier 13, and that is a modification I'm considering making to this strategy. We'll just see how we go during the league. So for your Shaper's Orbs, tier 1 to 6, use your Shaper's Orbs on anything or nothing. Just pick your personal favourite maps, or pick no maps if you don't like any of the tier that can be shaped. For tier 7, we want to be shaping Bazaar. Bazaar has good divination cards. For tier 8, I would suggest if you intend to maybe transition to a tower optimized atlas in the future, then do not use your tier 8 shaped shape absorbs. Otherwise, if you're confident you don't want to run towers, maybe you burnt out on them last league, then in that case, just shape your personal favorite tier 8 maps. At tier 9, shape your favorite or none. There's nothing that stands out as a must do. Tier 10, I want to suggest that you get 3 shape absorbs. I suggest that you use Shape Moon Temple because it has so many maps on monsters on it, and it's very easy to traverse. Optionally, also shape Chateau, which is a very dense map but is a little bit harder to traverse than Moon Temple, and just let your movement skill choice guide you as to whether you go with those or not. For your Elder Orb, stick it on Desert Spring. Anyways, that's the way I'm setting my atlas up. I'll leave it there. If you've gone for a different strategy, feel free to mention that in the comments below, and we'll see. Perhaps you'll be able. Perhaps I'll give yours a shot some point during the league.